We found that when companies come together, they learn as much from each other as they do from us.
And the more companies are involved with us, the more they get out of the relationships.
We have what we call the supply chain exchanges, a foundation program through which companies can work with us.
And so the whole idea is that you get executives from companies across different industries come together, and they are able to open their minds to new ideas and talk with each other and find new insights.
Hopefully some of the things that come out of those meetings are some questions that they might have to say, hey, we're really interested in a particular problem, and you folks at MIT, are you interested in studying this? And real time we're going to engage with them and say, yeah, that's a really interesting problem, we haven't addressed that before. And those end up becoming the real rich foundations for research.
The next tier up is where a company will have a problem, but it's not unique to them. And so they might be concerned about resilience of their company. Well, there might be 3 or 4 or a dozen other companies that have the exact same concern. So we bring them together into a consortium. We bring in PhDs or postdoctoral students and other researchers because we're trying to break ground on new areas. And so those consortiums tend to be 1 to 2 years in length, across multiple companies, and so the innovation and the insights are at a slightly higher level. Many times companies receive the research and they don't get engaged. And so what we try to do is get them actively hands-on involved. We have things known as supply chain education partners.
Every year I get a chance to sit down with companies and talk with them about what are the interesting challenges they're facing, and then pick out the ones that I think are the best fit for students to be able to work on in a 9-month project.
So it's a little bit consulting, it's a little bit research, but the two beneficiaries are the students who learn something more about the company and the techniques and the approaches they're applying, but also the company gets insight into one of their problems and they get a solution.
We don't solve only the specific problem. We use the specific problem as a context in order to solve a much more general issue that many companies and many organizations can benefit from.
One of those projects has to do with leadership in environmental assessment and performance. We call it LEAP. Companies are increasingly having a bigger stake into not only reaching new customers that care about the environment, but actually have a bigger role in helping solve some of these problems that we're seeing as a consequence of development of societies. So how do you engage your own company and your partner companies in your supply chain to change the way you do business and balance the needs of today with the needs of tomorrow?
The highest level is where we work with one company directly by itself over multiple years. And here's where a company has a really deep problem they're trying to solve, and we put multiple people on it and get to understand it in depth. And so a company has all these different tiers that they can pick from for the level of research that they want. From something very applied with the educational projects with master students, to something that's more of a common problem between companies, to something that's very specific to them.
Starting in 2006, Intel and MIT have been working on aligning supply chain strategy with business strategy. From that collaboration, we have also branched out in helping Intel provide additional perspectives as they build the next generation smaller electronics that are the future of their business.
One of the biggest projects that I worked on has been with a consumer packaged goods company. The specific objectives were to look at what the current level of supply chain risk was in a particular system that the company proposed. We interpreted that as a need for a model to quantitatively understand what the level of risk was in the system, and we're trying to pull some of those quantitative tools into a more general application for designing new networks.
We've had companies send 8 and 10 people to some of our events in the past, and those particular events end up being convening events for those particular partners.
You do not only get this one-way dialogue from us to you, but we constantly are looking for your ideas to be brought into our research process.
It's an exchange, really, for our partners to find connections with researchers on problems that are driving their industry.
That's capitalizing upon academia for what it should be doing, helping to create the innovative capacity for society to thrive.